There's no doubt that, at some point, you found yourself watching and enjoying Peppa Pig. But have you really noticed all the weird and confusing things that just don't make sense in the world of the pink piglet? Eyes on the same side. One of the strangest things about Peppa's design is the fact that her eyes are always on the same side of her head, no matter which way she or any other character is facing. And this weirdness applies to everyone in the Peppa Pig universe. Have you noticed that no matter how the camera moves, you can always see both of Peppa's eyes? This oddity sparked a bizarre theory that the characters might actually have 4 eyes, 2 on each side of their heads. Some people even made strange comparisons with images of Peppa having 4 eyes. But in the Golden Boots movie, there's a moment where she turns around and we can see the back of her head with no sign of extra eyes. So this kind of debunks the whole 4-eyed theory, don't you think? Come with us as we explore more of these curiosities that will leave you wondering for a while. So get ready, because we're about to dive deeper into the Peppa Pig universe. Kids in the same class. Speaking of strange things, have you noticed how Peppa's school only has 1 class? And in that 1 class, you'll see kids of completely different ages. On one hand, Peppa and her friends seem to be about the same age. But on the other, we have George, Edmund Elephant, and Richard Rabbit, who are clearly much younger. It's funny to think that all of them are studying together. And here's the detail. Among the younger ones, they're all boys. The weirdest part is Gerald Giraffe. Sometimes he seems the same age as the others, but other times he seems way older. That doesn't make much sense, does it? Kids of different ages should be learning those different things, especially when you consider they're animals with varying growth rates. Yet everyone seems to be learning the same things. Super Potato. Another mystery in Peppa's world is Super Potato. Everyone knows Peppa's world is inhabited by talking animals, pirates, and even walking talking vegetables. But things get even weirder when one of those vegetables has superpowers. Yes, we're talking about Super Potato, the greatest superhero for kids in the show. What's interesting is that he looks just like Mr. Potato, but with a cape, boots, and mask, much like Superman. In fact, the colors of his outfit are identical to the strongest hero on Earth. Does that mean Super Potato is the most powerful being in Peppa's universe? But how is it possible for a vegetable to be so strong? Could this all just be a special effects show? And Peppa's world is just a TV show for the inhabitants of that universe? That would make more sense, but still, not really. Mr. Bull at school. We know that parents always pick up their kids from school, as usual. But in one episode, we see something curious. Mr. Bull shows up at school, even though he doesn't have any kids or stepchildren to pick up. We don't understand why he's there since he doesn't even have kids yet. The funny part is, Mr. Bull just got married, so if everything goes as expected, he'll only have kids in a few months. Looks like the creators didn't think this scene through, huh? Miss Rabbit's Cafe. Now let's talk about the most multitasking character in this universe, Miss Rabbit. There's an episode where the women of the town decide to play Vikings and forget to bring food. Stranded on a deserted island, they are surprised to find a cafe. And guess who's there? Yep, Miss Rabbit. The weird thing is, the island has no boats or helicopters around. So the question is, how did she get there? Did she swim? And if she swam, how does she have time to juggle over 100 jobs and still swim to deserted islands? So, had you noticed these strange things in Peppa Pig's world? If you think there's something else that doesn't make sense but still love the show, leave your comment, Peppa below. Daddy Pig's weight? Something that has always confused me is why Peppa keeps commenting about Daddy Pig's big tummy. She's always teasing her dad for being chubby. But if you look closely, all the family members pretty much have the same shape, a ball. They're basically spheres with a head, 2 little arms, and 2 little legs, and they all have a round belly. No exception. Even Peppa herself isn't left out. She has a big tummy too. So why make such a big deal about Daddy Pig? Maybe she should take a closer look at her own belly, literally. Zoo employees. Another thing that leaves us scratching our heads is the existence of a zoo in Peppa Pig's world. Think about it. It's a world where animals talk, have jobs, and are even teachers. So why are some species treated as prisoners in a zoo? In the zoo episode, we see animals like Madame Gazelle and her students buying tickets to see other animals in captivity. That seems a bit contradictory, don't you think? And more. Why does Zoe Zebra have a toy monkey? An animal that should also be considered wild. These situations just make everything even more confusing. Getting into the car. Now, let's talk about a curious detail regarding cars in Peppa's world. In our world, people open the door and step into the car, as usual, right? But in Peppa's universe, kids have a rather peculiar way of getting into vehicles. Instead of opening the door, they simply jump straight into the car. Yes, a leap that takes them right into the back seat as if their legs were made of springs. And if you notice, their legs are quite short, making it even harder to understand how they can do this so easily. Animals with pets. Now, let's move on to something that really bothers a lot of people. Why do animals in Peppa's world have their own pets? For example, the pig family has a pet goldfish, while Pedro Pony has a pet tortoise. Doesn't that seem a bit odd? After all the characters in Peppa are talking, rational animals. So, why do some have pets that are apparently inferior? It's something that really doesn't make sense when you think about it deeply. Human statues. One curious thing about Peppa Pig is that, despite the world being inhabited by talking animals, we occasionally see references to humans. We know there are 3 humans in the show: the pirate, Santa Claus, and the Queen. But besides them, we also see statues and figures of humans, like the Statue of Liberty and a statue outside the museum. And it's not just statues. We've also seen books with humans on the cover, like Little Red Riding Hood. This raises the question, if humans don't live in this world, why are there still so many representations of them? Could it be that humans existed before the animals took over? This certainly opens the door for many theories. If, like us, you can't quite understand this either, make sure to subscribe to the channel now. Interspecies marriage. One of the most curious moments in Peppa Pig is the episode where Peppa stays over at Susie Sheep's house, and they decide that they will marry their friends, Pedro Pony and Danny Dog. But if we think about it, we've never seen marriages between different animal species in the show. And if this marriage really happened, it would be the first case of interspecies matrimony in Peppa's world. This makes us wonder, what if it really did happen? How would their offspring look? Half horse, half pig, half dog, half sheep? It seems like something that would open a huge door to other mysteries and surprises. After all, there aren't many pigs or sheep available for Peppa and Susie to marry, so boys from other species might be the most viable options. BBQ. Another moment that makes us a bit uncomfortable is the episode The Fire, where we see Daddy Pig and his friends getting ready for a barbecue. But what really stands out is the fact that among the friends are a bull and a pig. These are exactly the 2 most common animals we think of when it comes to BBQ meat in the real world. So this raises the question, what kind of BBQ are they having exactly? If it isn't 100% vegan, the idea that they might be cooking one of their own is rather disturbing. Let's just hope they're not planning to grill any meat. Ben and Holly. One of the big mysteries in the Peppa Pig world is the constant references to Ben and Holly, characters from another show by the same creators of Peppa Pig. In several moments, we see these little magical beings appear subtly, like on the hospital walls, where the elf and fairy are painted. This is curious because in Ben and Holly's little kingdom, the world of the little magical beings is completely secret, and almost no one knows about their existence. So how do these characters appear in Peppa's world? Could there be some kind of connection between the 2 universes that we don't know about yet? Vegetables that tell you to eat vegetables. Peppa Pig gives us some really strange situations, and one of them is the existence of living vegetables that, at the same time, encourage kids to eat other vegetables. Mr. Potato, for example, frequently appears promoting a healthy diet, asking the kids to eat more vegetables. Now think about it. It's as if he's asking the little ones to eat his own siblings. One particularly strange moment happens when the kids aren't sure whether or not they should take a bite out of Mr. Potato. If I were him, I'd stop giving that kind of advice. It definitely doesn't seem like a good idea. So, what did you think of these things that don't make much sense in Peppa Pig's world? The show is super fun, but it definitely has its weird moments. Now that you know about these curiosities, how about choosing one of the suggested videos and watching a little more? I'm sure you'll have even more fun and be surprised.